So we're looking today at the section on the lives of the Prachetas. Pitradishtaha praja sarge tapase arnavamavishan dashavarsha sahasrani tapas tapasarcham tapaspatim. So Pitra by the father, Adishtaha being ordered by, Praja Sarge in the matter of begetting children, Tapase for executing austerity, Aranavam in the ocean, Avishan entered, Dashavarsha 10 years, Sahasrani such thousands, Tapasa by their austerity, Archan worshipped, Tapaha of austerity, Patim the master. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When all these prachetas were ordered by their father to marry and beget children, they all entered the ocean and practiced austerities and penances for 10,000 years. Thus, they worship the master of all austerity, the supreme personality of Godhead. Purport: sometimes great sages and ascetics enter the Himalaya mountains in order to find seclusion from the turmoil of the world. It appeared, however, that all the prachetas, the sons of Prachini Bari, entered the depths of the ocean to perform austerity in a secluded place. Since they performed austerities for 10,000 years, this incident took place in the Satyuga when people used to live for 100,000 years. It's also significant that by their austerity, they worship the master of austerity, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one wants to perform austerities and penances in order to attain the supreme goal, one must attain the favor of the supreme personality of God. If one achieves the favor of the supreme Lord, it is to be understood that he has finished all kinds of austerities and penances and has attained efficiency in their execution. On the other hand, if one does not attain the perfect stage of devotional service, all austerities and penances actually have no meaning, for without the Supreme Lord, no one can attain the highest results derived from performing them. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 529, Lord Shri Krishna is the master of all penances and sacrifices. Bhoktaram Yagitaksam Sarvaloka Maheshwara. Thus, the desired result of performing austerities may be derived from Lord Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Aho Batashvapachotho Gariyan Tajivhagre Vartate Nam Tubhyam Te Pustapaste Juhu Sasnurarya Brahmanuchurnama Grunanti Yete. Even if a person is born in a family of Chandalas, the lowest birth one can get in human society, he is glorious if he chants the holy names of the Lord, for it is to be understood that by such chanting, a devotee definitely proves that he underwent all kinds of austerities in his previous life. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, one who chants the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, attains the highest perfectional stage which has had previously been attained by people who entered the ocean and executed austerities for 10,000 years. In this age of a Kali, if a person does not take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which is offered as a great concession to the fallen human beings of this age, it is to be understood that he is very bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And we'll be discussing this in three parts. I'll be using my tab as a place for making notes. And this is the pastime of Daksha Prajapati's sons, the Pachetas, going on. And this pastime goes on over several chapters. Their life, broadly, the Prachetas' life is described in three stages. Their austerity, which is the phase going on right now. Within that, they received instruction from their father. Then they went to the forest, and on the way to the forest, they got instruction from Lord Shiva. So the instruction from their father was literally just a brief instruction. And then after that, they actually performed the austerity. And then after they did that, then when they returned, there was their anger to see the earth had been overrun by trees. Their anger and aggression that came out after that started burning all the trees. And then the last was that they were appeased. They were appeased. They're satisfied, and then they were given a wife, and they had a child. And then there was their reign, their rule. So their application of what they had learned and how they ruled virtuously. So the major part is the first section itself. And right now we are in this section. So 24 to 26, we'll be talking about how they went to the forest uh, and how they met Lord Shiva and how they were instructed by him. So I'll focus on the theme of balance as seen from the narration of the pastime as it is going on. So in the three classes that I'll have today, tomorrow, day after, I'll be talking about balance from three different perspectives or in three different areas of balance. So today I'll talk about balance in terms of austerity. Tomorrow, I'll talk about balance in terms of individuality. And day after tomorrow, I'll talk about balance in terms of intelligence. So let's look at today's discussion. And the broad theme here is that Daksha has told his sons that they have to, his sons are the Pachetas, and they have been told basically, now this could be any father or any parent, and this could be the children. They've been told that you have to do your duty. Now, the duty of a Prajapati is to beget children. And the Prachetas are also expected to assist in that duty. But curiously, you could say that if the duty is begetting children, then one should go into the world. That means find a partner. In today's world, if you want to start a family, then the way to do that is enter into the dating scene, unless, of course, there's a society where arranged marriages are possible, social culture. But that's one way to go. But here, the Prachitas they go away from the world. They are going to renounce the world. And specifically, they are not going to, normally people can go away from the world. They can go to the forest, which Prabhupada is a norm, but here they are going to the ocean and they're performing austerities there. So we see that the broad Vedic tradition is a tradition of variegatedness. There is no, there are very few things which are absolute in terms of this is the only way it has to be done. So generally, most characters go to forest for austerities. But some characters go to the ocean also. We have the well-known story of Shabari Muni who went to a was meditating within the waters, and there also he got deviated. The point is that there could be various ways of doing things, even when one is perceiving something higher. So sometimes we get caught, and somebody in a very narrow-minded attitude that if you have to practice spirituality, conformity with the tradition means this is the only way to do things. If you're sitting and doing japa, then you are a serious chanter. If you're walking and chanting, then you are a casual chanter. Only when you have, only when you are reciting mantras in this way, then you are faithful. If you're reciting mantra in that way, you are a deviant. No, it's not that simple. Yes, there is of course something which is a deviation, but trying to make everything monolithic, hmm, it's definitely not monolithic in the sense that everything is absolutely one. It's there is harmony of purpose. Yes, we all want to grow spirituality, but harmony of purpose is not the same as homogeneity of action. Mm. Homogeneity of action means that like one action becomes completely uninterchangeable from the other action. It's not meant to be like that. And I will talk about this more, this difference between harmony and homogeneity in tomorrow's session, and why this is so important, especially for retaining and nourishing our individuality. But we have in the Mahabharata also this principle that normally we associate with the Vedic tradition with dowry. Hmm? And that is true, but when Bhishma goes to seek the hand of, this was normal or standard, you could say, but Bhishma goes to seek the hand of the of Madri for Pandu. At that time, Madri's brother Shalya says that in our tradition, in our culture, in our tradition, the custom is that the boy's side gives gift to the girl's side. And Bhishma says, I know about it. And that's why I have arranged for lavish gifts. Now, in the Western tradition, this is called as a bride price. It's a very mundane word for it. But this is also accepted and respected, not just accepted, but respected. So it is not that these specifics have to be only one. There could be different specifics. Now, Prabhupada also emphasized in the purport, tapasa archam tapasapati, that they worship through austerity the Lord of austerity, that is Krishna. So the curious thing which I'm going to focus on is that why did they go not into the world to seek a partner, but away from the world to perform austerity? And that is where the balance between the balance which I'm going to talk about is this world, or we could say the outer world, and the world, which is also related to the inner world. So basically, if we pursue only this world, if you consider this to be a pendulum, if we pursue only this world, then we become completely materialistic. On the other hand, if we pursue only the other world, or if we pursue only inner growth, then we become irrelevant, impractical. Mhm. We need a balance of both. Mm. About Srila Prabhupada, it was said that his head was high up in the sky, but his feet were firmly on the ground. That meant Prabhupada had aspirations based on the other world, and he very strongly wanted ultimately to attain Krishna, not just attain Krishna himself, but help others attain Krishna. But Prabhupada's feet were on the ground. He was very aware of the ground realities and what steps are to be taken for attaining that ground reality. So, for example, when Prabhupada built the Vrindavan temple, now most temples they are sustained by the community, the congregation. But Vrindavan was a unique place because everybody there was already devoted, already virtuous, and there was not much chance of a community or congregation being built. So Prabhupada didn't say, "Oh, this is Vrindavan. Everybody will be taken care of by Krishna." Prabhupada says sometimes in Vrindavan, if you do Madhukari, you'll get food, and you know will starve in Vrindavan. That's true to some extent, but when it comes to maintaining a temple, Prabhupada did not have that kind of maintain that kind of idea. So Prabhupada built guest houses, the MBT and others, and Prabhupada said that there are tourists who will come, and devotees may come, people who are devotionally minded, people who are just recreationally minded also, they will come, and the guest houses will be the sustenance. If the congregation is not there directly, then we should have the guest houses. So Prabhupada is practical. Prabhupada did not say that, oh, in Vrindavan, Krishna will take care of everything. Certainly, Krishna takes care of everything ultimately, but Krishna takes care by giving us intelligence also. So this world and the other world, or the inner world and the outer world. Inner world is, oh, this is a place, I just sing Radha Krishna's names and become absorbed in Krishna. Outer world is we want to function in society. We want to reach out to society. How do we do that? So what applies to the movement at a collective level can apply also to a family or an individual at a smaller level. Mm. So the principles are similar. So here we have the prachetas going out, but not to seek a partner, but to seek inner growth. So most of the times when it comes to relationships, people seek someone lovable. Oh, let me find a partner who who is attractive, who has whatever, maybe if they have good looks, they have financial stability. If we have bhaktas, devotees, we may look for some of spiritual interest and compatibility also. But well, that's important. But the other is also seek to become someone lovable. So simply seeking someone lovable, we work on ourselves and try to grow so that not just we have a good partner, but we become a good partner. And that is the principle over here for austerity. When the prachetas are going to the forest, their purpose in going there is primarily inner growth. So the performance of austerity is so that they can grow internally. Now, inner growth is a word, it can have a very vague, new age connotation. Oh, inner growth can mean whatever makes me feel good, whatever makes me feel at peace with myself. And yes, that can be vague, feel good kind of connotation. But inner growth also has a philosophical and devotional connotation. What it means is that two things. There is, for every individual, there are two aspects to their being. There is the varna and there is the ashram. Now, Prabhupada would sometimes say varna is material, ashram is spiritual. Of course, there are divisions of a person's material lifespan. So, in that sense, there is more to it. But we could say varna is more in terms of occupation, and ashram is more in terms of relation. We human beings have both of these aspects. We need relationships. We are not social creatures alone. So if we are not just, we are social creatures rather. And we are not just performing machines. In India, a prominent industrialist or he just proposed that all Indians should work 70 hours a week to help India grow. Well, that idea is that to reduce humans to only their varna. So that is, humans are just performing machines. So 70-hour work week, what that means is that we are treating occupation as the sole definer of a person. No, people need to have work and they need to work well, but at the same time, we have relationships also. We have a relationship with our family, with our friends, we have social life, and ultimately we have a relationship with Krishna, and that is the most important relationship. So inner growth means capacity for both, not just in terms of specific skills, but whether it is varna or ashram, one needs a basic level of self mastery, a certain level of self discipline without which we won't be able to function. And that self mastery comes primarily through discipline, through austerity. And this is the discipline that they are doing. Now, specifically in today's world, it may not be possible or it may not be desirable also to go out of the world to perform austerities. And, but the principle is there that everybody needs to learn some basic level of discipline. And that's why if we consider the Purusharthas, Purusha in the past referred to human beings, not just males, and Artha is so humans, and Artha is purpose. So, what is the purpose of human beings' existence? There are four purposes: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Now, dharma is not just religion. Religion is aspect, of course, the aspect of it, but dharma is essentially about ethics and discipline. One gets a good ethical sense of what is right and what is wrong, and then gets the discipline to live according to the ethics. Artha is not just about money, it is about resources. Resources and opportunities that come with resources. So, money is one part of it, but money itself is not important. What is important is that we all have resources in our life by which we can grow. And then karma is sometimes equated with only with lust. And yes, that is one aspect of it. But karma refers basically to satisfaction. Now, people may talk about job satisfaction, people may talk about relational satisfaction, but basically, satisfaction, it could be again in terms of job, it can be in terms of relation, family. So, that needs to be satisfied. Now, of course, you could say that artha is what is associated with job. Yeah, we work to gain artha, but we also want some satisfaction in our work. And moksha is a sense of freedom. Now, in the Western tradition, freedom is often seen in political terms. Nobody should be ruling me. Nobody should tell me whom I should vote for. Nobody should tell me what my behavior should be. So they talk about political freedom. In the Vedic tradition, it is talked more in terms of spiritual freedom. So in the West, the idea is liberty. The Statue of Liberty in New York is not just the icon of America; it's the icon of the Western world. That this is what we seek. But it's spiritual. It's liberation. It's not just that we want to be. The political freedom is the idea of free for desires. That means I have certain desires, I have certain dreams, and I should be free for fulfilling desires. That's the idea of political freedom. But spiritual liberation is free from desires. There are certain desires which limit us, certain desires which bind us, and we want to be free from those desires. So the point is that here, in terms of these four purusharthas, the prachetas are being told that before karma, Okay, if they're told beget children, beget, then you could say for begetting children, you have to go straight towards karma, fulfill your desires. No, they're told no. If you have to beget children also, you have to have dharma. Now, for them specifically, artha is not a problem because they are children of a wealthy family. But still, if there's no dharma, then artha will also not be used properly. Person may misuse it, squander it. So they are not going towards immediately finding a partner. They will do dharma, and when they do the austerity, what will happen is eventually they will get a partner, and then they will be able to do their duty. So that means that we need to focus on the inner world also. We need to give due time for our inner growth. For inner growth means, I said that we learn ethics and develop discipline. And most people today want outer growth and outer success without really investing in inner growth. This is the last point I'll take, and then we'll have some questions. That I saw an advertisement recently. It said that visibility is the key to success. So it was an advertising company, and it said that we will make you visible, and when you are visible, you will be successful. Well, maybe it's true in today's world, but it's also true that success will lead to visibility. That means if one is successful, then one will be noticed by people. But here they're saying that you have to make yourself noticed by people, and then you will become successful. Well, if we consider visibility to be a matter of outer growth and success to be a matter of inner growth. Now, success can mean many things, but here, if a person is becoming good at something, then naturally they will be successful. So it is not that one has to be pursued at the expense of the other. Let's consider this in terms of service. We can consider book distribution, or we can consider fundraising. Now, in book distribution, we could say the outer growth, the outer successes that we are able to distribute a lot of books. In fundraising, it would be we're able to raise a lot of funds, and that is good. That is good. We want to use it in Krishna's service. We want to reach people with Krishna's message. But if there's only outer success, then what happens is we start becoming very calculative. Oh, this person is likely to give me a lot of donations, so I'll spend a lot of time with this person. This person is not likely to give my donations. What is the use of spending time with this person? But maybe that person is likely to become a very serious devotee. Who knows? When Prabhupada was doing his outreach in America, most of the people who came to him were hippies, and they had no donations to give, but they gave their own life afterwards. So he can become too calculative, and that is not healthy for us. So when we are doing book distribution, we want to distribute books, but if you're too caught in distributing books, we may lie, we may cheat. Prabhupada once used the word distribute books by hook or by crook. Now, when Prabhupada used this, it's important to remember that what Prabhupada meant. Normally, hook or crook by means even cheating is acceptable. Do it, but that was not at all Prabhupada's intention. For Prabhupada, English was his third or fourth language. His first language is Bengali, then you can say Hindi, Sanskrit, then after that English. So what Prabhupada meant by hook or crook, he was simply using a vernacular, a common way of saying ye na ke na prakari. What Bhagavad Gita says, somehow or what the Puranas say, that somehow or the other fix the mind on Krishna. That principle Prabhupada was saying, ye na ke na prakari. That is by hook or by crook, somehow or the other. But what Prabhupada meant was be creative, be intelligent, come up with new ideas. But devotees thought that we can cheat about it. And devotees started misleading people about what the content of the books is. In fundraising, also, it can happen that sometimes devotees may start saying, oh, these are being used, this fund that you will give These will be used to feed poor people in poor children in India or Bangladesh. Well, if that is not being done, we cannot be stating like that. So if we focus on only on outer success, we become too calculative. On the relational front, if we become only focused on outer circus, then we get caught in the looks of a person, the earnings of a person. Then it doesn't work very well. Mm. Maybe in the past, men would look at women simply as sex machines, and women would look at men simply as ATM machines. Now, of course, women are also earning money. So now what happens is men and women both look at each other. Uh, they look at each other simply as both sex and ATM, money and so artha and kama, nothing more than that. ATM is anytime money. So this is a very reductionistic and destructive vision. So what will happen is such a vision cannot be a foundation of any sustainable relationship. That's why when people become too fixated with only this world, only immediate success, material success, then not only do they lose spiritual success, but even material success can get lost in the long run because it's not materially sustainable. So if we focus only on outer success, on the other hand, if we focus only on inner success, then we will end up becoming too impractical. If somebody says that, okay, I'm going to distribute books, but if Krishna wants books to be distributed, I'll just go and stand at one place. Whoever comes, I'll distribute books. Well, we have to use our intelligence. Is this a place where people are likely to come? If it's some remote place, then we have to use our intelligence. In fundraising, we say, if Krishna wants, he will build a temple for us. And we don't do anything at all. No, that also doesn't work. So if somebody says, I will just chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will send me a partner. Not necessarily. If say, oh, I won't worry about finances, I won't worry about anything. Whatever Krishna wants, I'll provide. Krishna will provide me. No, Krishna has given us intelligence, Krishna has given us ability, and he wants us to use the resources. So the prachetas here are exemplifying how, now, generally speaking, very few people will just neglect inner, outer entirely and focus only on inner. Maybe some people who have a very superficial understanding of spirituality. So most people will err in this direction. And a few may err in this direction. But either way, it is not something which is sustainable. And Bhagavad Gita is entirely, and the broad Bhakti tradition is a tradition of balance, of balancing various aspects of life so that we avoid extremes and we can grow holistically. So I'll summarize what we discussed today. So I discussed a overview of the pastime first, what is happening in this particular section, and how we are in the first phase where they're performing austerities. And then the key theme that we discussed was that even when they wanted to beget children, they didn't go into the world, but out of the world. Hmm. Why was that? They went to perform out of world means into the out of the daily functioning of the world to perform austerities. So why? Because they wanted inner growth. In this connection, a sub point that I discussed was that austerity can also be variegated, and the Vedic tradition was variegated with respect to austerity can be in the forest or in the water. When marriage will be performed, the wealth gifts can be given from the girl to the boy or boy to the girl. There can be various things like that. So it's not a monolithic thing. Then we talked about why they were going to the inner world, because they recognized that before we can have kama, moksha, before we can have kama, there is dharma needed. Dharma and artha are needed. So I discussed these four purusharthas to some extent, what they mean. Dharma is not just religion, but it is ethics and discipline. Artha is not just money, but it is resources and opportunities. Kama is not just uh, lust, but it is also satisfaction. Satisfaction, professional satisfaction, relational satisfaction. And moksha, liberation, it can mean freedom, inner freedom and outer freedom, political freedom and spiritual freedom, free from desire and free for desires. So the prachetas, what they are doing is instead of going here, they want to full kama, but their focus is on developing dharma, on developing inner character. Instead of looking for someone lovable, become someone lovable. The idea of if you're seeking relationship. We last part we discussed about the balance between inner and outer growth. So if it's only outer, we become too calculative, and then eventually it becomes destructive. We discussed the example Buddhist mission, fundraising, or even relationships. And if it's only inner, then we become too impractical. We may even become escapist, trying to dodge our responsibilities. But in between is the balance where we understand that both inner and outer are ways of service to Krishna. And we learn using Krishna, the intelligence coming from Krishna, how to balance the inner and outer holistically. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such an informative class. I really like the way that you talked about the interlinking relationships between dharma, artha, and karma, and how they kind of interact and build up to one another. Could you explain how moksha fits in to that equation in the Varnashram system?
How does moksha fit in into Varnashram? For most people, it is that they go through dharma, artha, and kama, and after some time, towards the end, they develop some sense that there must be something higher in life. Now, quite often, most people, they need a sense of material identity. It is material identity has to be constructed, then it is to be transcended. Means, who am I in this world? I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a Brahmana, I'm a Vaishya, I'm a husband, I'm a child, I'm a sibling. This constructed means that we have to learn to act responsibly according to the various identities that we have. And when there is responsible engagement according to these identities, that itself forces us to develop a certain level of self-discipline, a certain level of maturity. And then after that, one starts thinking, what more in life? What more is there in life? Now, there may be some people who can think about what is more in life right from the beginning of their lives itself. Those people are generally they are people who have probably practiced spirituality in a previous life. And because of that, they are able to do this now. But otherwise, it's very difficult for most people. So when there's brahmacharya training, that is generally for going to grahastha ashram. It is not for sannyas. So what more in life means, this is where we start thinking about the other world, that's when we start focusing on the other world more and more. So Varnashram is a holistic system. Most of Varnashram and most people in Varnashram will be focusing on dharma, artha, and kama, because that's what is required for most people. That's the level where most people are at. And gradually they will go toward moksha. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much for the answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Any other questions or comments? Hare Krishna.
Thank you for class. I had a question on the point of being too calculative within one service versus impractical, expecting Krishna to just sort everything out for us. So I was wondering, how do you strike the balance? Because it seems with any service, whether it be preparing for a talk, whether it be organizing an event, whether it be book distribution, you can really get into the details of how you perform the service. And for example, when preparing for a talk and preparing a PowerPoint, you could just do a basic PowerPoint, have some nice text. You could have a few transitions, but then the tendency can be there to get into all these little details, which may or may not actually have any significant impact for the audience or for the so-called success of that service. So how do you find the balance between, I guess, doing more than necessary and doing what's necessary to actually have success in your service, quote unquote?
Question: how do we individually find the balance? I think it depends on guna and karma. Guna means it is, Varna ashram has this two aspects, especially for Varna. There's guna and karma. Guna is, you could say, our guna is more internal. It is associated with what we are comfortable doing, and karma is associated with what we are competent doing. So it's more. This is more internal. So for some people consider music. They may not be very good at singing and sing decently, but they can become immersed in singing themselves. They can tune off the world and become absorbed. Some people study Shastra. They may not be very great speakers. Their talks may not attract a large number of people, but they can lose themselves completely, lose themselves in a positive sense, become immersed in Shastra. That gives them shelter, that gives them strength, that gives them joy. And on the other hand, there are some people who may be very good at things. And if there is, so the more effort they put in, they're naturally good, and the more effort they put in, they become better. So now, when for us, service has both these purposes. We want inner shelter also through service. And we also want to, we could say, our shelter, we get shelter, or rather, we want to say, we do service to get shelter of Krishna. That is more internal. And we also want to give shelter of Krishna to others through service. So when I'm studying scripture, it is so that I can learn myself, and it is also so that I can help others learn. So now, depending on individual desha kala patra, the time, place, circumstance, different things may take different level of priority. If a particular program is a very important program, we might say that all programs are important, and that's true. But at the same time, some programs are more important than others. then we may decide, okay, in this particular program, there is more amount of presentation and aesthetics are important. If it's a big one-time program in a university or in a company, or some elite people are coming to a community event or a temple event, we might decide here the aesthetics and the presentation are extremely important. Other presentations, we may say that, okay, there are people who are already devotionally minded. That doesn't mean the aesthetics are not important, but that's not the most important thing. They want substance. And let me study scripture more. Let me be more and more of my authentic self, speak from my convictions. So this varies from person to person. But in general, the broad overarching principle is that we have to use our God-given intelligence. That is where Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Buddhi Yoga is, Krishna says that this is I give the intelligence for developing a connection. So if we are prayerfully serving Krishna, Isham Satatyuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam, as it mentioned 10.10 in the Bhagavad Gita, then Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna will give us the intelligence by which we can make the most effective connection, whether it's with ourselves internally or with others externally. Okay? So thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hari
Hari Hari Bol.
Vancha Tarubyascha
Kripa
Sindhu
Sindhu
Patitana
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namo Namaha.
His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari